Hi, One of the Good Nights podcast. We're here with Sarah from Sarah and the Safe Word. We're going to ask them some questions today about their new singles. They're both a mouthful, so I'm not going to try to pronounce them on here. So I'm going to start off by asking, how do you feel about the response to those so far?
We're so grateful for it. You know, it seems like people really are into the video and the single that we dropped, and a lot of interest around the new record that's coming out on October 30th. So yeah, we're really excited, really happy.
Hell yeah.
Oh, so happy to hear that. What do the song names mean?
Do they have any special meanings?
Yeah.
Well, the first song that we did a video and a kind of like the single that we just dropped is The Last Great Sweetheart of the Grand Electric Rodeo. And if you listen to the song, it's about a vampire rodeo sweetheart that falls in love with a robot cowboy in the electric rodeo, and it's about their misadventures and their the way they met each other. So
that's so cool.
And then A Celebration with a Vengeance is sort of a song about, we wrote that song really late in the game for this record. It was like the last song we wrote before we recorded. And it's sort of just about people in the music scene who are fake, you know, that come into sort of the industry maybe with a lot of money or just with a lot of privilege, and they aren't really cognizant of that. It's sort of just an examination of people like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Makes sense.
So can you tell me a little bit about your writing process for these songs in particular?
Yeah, it's interesting. Rodeo was one of the first songs that we wrote for this album. And that was sort of, it was another, I think in the last interview, they told you that I write a lot of hooks in the shower.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll run to Keenan on the phone and sing him the song on the phone, and then he'll write something.
Mm-hmm.
Rodeo was kind of one of those songs. I came up with the chorus while I was showering one day and was like, oh, fuck, I've got to climb out of the shower and do a voice memo really quick because Keenan needs to hear this. So I did that and sent it to Keenan, and then we got together the next day and kind of fleshed the rest of the song out. So that was that song. And then Celebration, we were doing pre-production, the last day of pre-production before we had to go up to Cleveland to make the album. And me and Keenan were just singing with an acoustic guitar, and that song kind of came together in like 15 minutes. It was pretty wild how that happened. So yeah, so I can't really explain how that happened. Me and him were just together hanging out. It was like the last hour of the day that we were doing pre-pro, and that song came together. So
that's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about where your headspace was while writing these songs?
Yeah, you know, we're kind of a storytelling band. So Rodeo, I don't really know the chaos that happens with my brain sometimes. It just kind of happens, but
yeah, I
like the idea of doing a kind of like a play on a country song that had been in the back of my head for a while. And I don't know, I had this idea in my head of like a robot cowboy that was like riding a robot bull in a weird rodeo, and I thought it'd be fun to write a song about that. So that was my idea for that. For Celebration, you know, I think we had been frustrated, I think, just by people that we knew in the music industry, that, you know, either we had personal experiences with that we felt like they were very manipulative or very less than truthful maybe about their interactions with their fans and their, you know, the people that they support. So I think that was just me kind of venting my frustrations with that in a song.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So what influences can you hear on these songs, if any?
Yeah, you know, I think the last record was sort of us like kind of doing the storybook thing, right? Where we were kind of surfing around a lot of different genres and going a lot of different places. I would say this album it still does a little bit of that, but it's a lot more centric around my growing up in New Orleans. So there's a lot of like New Orleans influence on the record. Mm-hmm. And a lot more of us kind of leaning into like the real like 1920s cabaret vibe that we're kind of known for being like a cabaret punk band. Yeah. So I would say it's like a little bit more closer to like the nucleus of like what our band's kind of approach is, you know?
All right. Oh, that's so exciting. Okay. So for the last couple of questions, we're actually going to shift away from music and go straight to death row. So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
Oh, with a drink.
Mhm.
My favorite cocktail is Boulevardier.
Mhm.
So you can look up what that is. But it's that would be my drink, and then my last meal. I'm kind of a pasta nut, so I think I'd just go with something Italian.
All right.
Okay.
You know, maybe
Taste.
like a classic like spaghetti and meatballs.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Of course.
So if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
ooh, one fictional world for a week.
Mhm.
Lately, I've been really obsessed with this cartoon called Has Been Hotel. Do you guys know what this
Ooh,
is? Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it.
I
Yeah.
haven't.
So I think right now I would probably pick Has Been Hotel, and I would just live in hell for a week. I think that'd be fun.
Okay.
So
All right.
I'd be
Yeah.
a lounge singer in hell.
All right.
So
Okay. That's iconic. Honestly, like that's the best thing I've ever heard. Okay.
I try.
So I have the honor of asking the last question, and every single person we have spoken to have said it's the most important question.
Okay,
What's your favorite color?
black.
Black?
There you go.
Okay.
All right.
I mean,
All right. Simple.
yeah.
Yeah. So Gloria
All right.
said she asked the last question, but she also said we were going to shift away from music, but we're going to go to that album for a second. What can you
All right.
tell
Yeah.
us about that? Anything you can tell?
What would you like to know about it? I guess I can
Everything.
tell you what's about it.
Everything.
It's
Everything.
been announced at this point, so I can talk about it.
Yes.
It's called Good Gracious Bad People. Is the name of the album. It's coming out on Take This to Heart, which is our label that we've been on now for the past record and this one. It has 11 songs on it. It's our longest album to date as far as like length, like time length of the record.
Yeah.
And it has a feature on it from Gerard Delore, who is in a band from Detroit called Second Salem, who we're a big fan of. He features on a song
Congrats.
called Disobedient. And that's what else can I tell you about it? What would you like to know? Do you have any other questions about it?
Will it have like the same sound as the last album?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, I think that we didn't do like a big stylistic shift or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was produced by Jim Wirt, who has produced Fiona Apple, Incubus, and Jack's Mannequin, and a few other bands like that. So he kind of brought his own production style to it. But it's still, you know, what I think people listen to our band for. It's like very, you know, vintage vibes in a lot of ways. There's a little bit more like, I would say like dark Appalachia
Okay.
kind of vibe on it. So a lot more like, you know, kind of smoky Gulf, New Orleans,
Mm-hmm.
haunted bayou kind of vibes on it in some
Yeah,
ways.
yeah.
But it's a lot more centric around like the cabaret vibes this time.
Okay. Oh, all right. That sounds
Very
awesome.
exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So aside from the album, is there anything else you would like to plug?
Yeah, well, our band is a big supporter of a nonprofit called the National Independent Venue Association. And that's a nonprofit that's important to us right now because they are advocating for basically monetary assistance for independent music venues right now that are struggling during the coronavirus pandemic. You guys are music fans, so you probably know that no music venues are open right now. They're all struggling to stay afloat. So what NEVA's mission is they're basically trying to secure funding so these places can stay open for decades to come and make sure that these huge mega corporations like Live Nation don't take over our entire music industry. So we're very vocal about people, if they can, supporting an organization called the National Independent Venue Association. And people can find out more about it by going to NIVAASSOC.org and check it out.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. Well,
Woo!
thank you for
Woo!
sitting down with us. This has been Sarah.
Of course.
From Sarah and the Safe Word, and we're the Good Noise Podcast.